Welcome to the show. Let's talk about 5 breakouts that nobody else is really talking about. These 5 players have some major upside, and they're flying slightly under the radar for fantasy football 2025. You may want to consider grabbing them or considering them for this season. If you are new to the channel, I'm going to keep the content rolling to you. Make sure you guys do hit the thumbs up, smash it, tap it, slap it, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, turn on the bell. You don't want to miss here breaking news as well. I'm also breaking news on my Instagram. Just did a whole video with Tyreek Hill, reported what recently happened with him, with the whole off-field drama with him and his so-called wife. So I'm keeping you guys on top of this off-season stuff, any type of arrests, any type of trades, any type of moves, keeping you on top of it. So make sure you guys are following on my social channels and here, turn on the bell, okay? So let's dive into these 5 players that are flying under the radar, that have major breakout potential, a bunch of sophomores here that you want to target. Now, again, make sure you guys, if you want the full list of sleepers, breakouts, optimal players drafted each round, forget the cookie cutter rankings, grab 16 rounds. I've linked it below. Use code DRAFT to save 20%. I've linked it. Make sure you pre-order 16 rounds right now. You can get in, you get your login, you get everything. The first release is 2 weeks after the NFL draft. You get your first release of 16 rounds with all the players. Make sure you guys pre-order below. Use code DRAFT to save, okay? 16 rounds is the game changer. I'm telling you, you guys will crush your leagues. All right, let's talk about the first player here. And I got to talk about him. I was higher on him last year than most people. He just did not pan out. He came on the show last year. The guy I'm talking about is Trey Benson. Now, again, it doesn't seem that sexy of a pick. And I'm not saying you got to invest a high draft capital in him. All I'm saying is that you want to fade Connor and grab this guy later. I'll tell you why. 3rd round pick, young, dynamic, was the top running back prospect coming out of last year's draft. He just never got going. And that's what really pissed me off, is that certain teams, like the annoying Arizona Cardinals, stick to certain players just out of, like, I don't know what it is, like respect for that player or something. Oh, because Connor's our starter, we just got to kind of roll with him even though he sucks. Man, I looked at Connor's stats. The guy sucks. He was a backup for years on the Steelers. He had 2 1,000-yard rushing seasons out of how many, 9 seasons he's played, something crazy like that. Dude, the guy is getting older, man. He's going to be 30 years old by the time the season starts. And like I said, last year, barely cracking 1,094 yards, 8 touchdowns, 236 attempts. They really got to start moving stuff over to Trey Benson, who's young, who's dynamic, who's more capable, who's hungrier, who is the better out of the 2 running backs. If they want to win, they got to utilize the best running back that they have. Connor is over the hill, and I'm just not sold on this guy being a good guy. Listen, when I'm looking at a running back, I'm looking at a guy, the Saquon Barkleys of the world, the Ashton Genties of the world, the guys that could really have that breakout potential and be full workhorse running backs. Connor is a pretender. And the fact that he's a pretender and he's been a pretender for years, there's an opportunity for Trey Benson to step up. There could be something there. That's all I'm saying. And he was only limited to 63 attempts last year, 291 yards, 4.6 yards per carry, and only 1 touchdown. They drafted him in the 3rd round. They're going to have to use him. I'm not excited. I'm not over the moon excited about him, but James Conner is just not that good. Look for Benson to take a step up this year. You just can't waste a 3rd round pick on one of the top prospects and just not use them. I'm looking for Trey Benson to do something this year, okay? Number 2 here, again, not a lot of people are talking about him. A lot of people are excited about guys like Brian Thomas Jr., which I am as well. But nobody's talking about Xavier Legette, who was also a 1st round pick. Now, Xavier Legette last year still had some respectable numbers, right? He had he was number 1 in targets. He had 84 targets on that team, only like 49 receptions. Now, here's the thing. This offense is obviously suspect. This offense obviously has question marks. But at the time of this recording, they don't have any other options. They got Thielen and Jalen Coker. That's it. Those are the only 2 other wide receivers. Other than that, Legette is the top wide receiver in this wide receiver core. Adam Thielen is 35 years old. He's in his 12th season. And that's just not going to cut it. They have to, if they want to win any games or string some games they want to win together, a couple wins here and there, they got to utilize Xavier Legette. Like I said, last year was the number 1 target getter. Thielen, I think, did a little bit better overall. But when you look at a guy who is drafted with high draft capital, they've got to use him. Young has got to start utilizing his best receiver, which is Legette. He definitely takes a leap forward this year. He's going to get some more value for sure in fantasy leagues for sure. All right, so Xavier Legette, another breakout potential. And these guys are going to be better value than like a Brian Thomas Jr. Are they going to be better than Brian Thomas Jr.? Not necessarily. But, hey, the opportunity is there, okay? Speaking of opportunity, number 3 here. Again, drop your comments below. Let me know. Turn on the bell. And if you want all the picks, grab 16 rounds. I'm going to keep the content rolling here for you on the #1 fantasy football podcast. I'm going to keep it rolling for you. So turn on the bell, subscribe. Very, very important. Hit the subscribe and the like button. It really helps the channel, okay? Appreciate it. Number 3 here, completely off the radar. Nobody's really talking about him. This guy was coming off around round 5, 6 last year. I was telling you, avoid him because it was a wide receiver committee with a rookie quarterback. This year, it's a better situation. For number 3 is Rome Odunze. Now, Rome is in a unique situation here where Keenan Allen is a free agent. 121 freed up targets are going to be available with Keenan Allen being shipped off. That's great. They've got DJ Moore. DJ Moore is not a true wide receiver 1. I always considered him as a wide receiver BC, like a very low-end wide receiver 1. Rome is the best wide receiver on this offense. I mean, we're talking to a guy who was drafted in the first round, really ultra talented. Now it's up to Williams to get the ball consistently to Rome Odunze, who can easily be the one on this offense. So, listen, last year he was still being drafted high, and I was like, dude, don't do it. Don't even draft Rome. This year I'm like, things are opening up with 120 freed up targets with Allen being gone, more settled into the offense, get the jitters out, right? You got Williams and him, the connection kind of building there now. If they end up getting a good running back, which I think they definitely need a running back, if they get a Genti or something like that, it's really going to open things up for him as well. But Rome could be great value this year, and he's got a ton of upside and major breakout upside for Rome Odunze, okay? Number 4 here, let me talk about number 4. 4 is very interesting. It's a quarterback, and I'm going to give you, before I tell you who it is, let me compare the stats here with him, okay? To Jalen Hurts. This is crazy. Okay, so this quarterback, I won't tell you who it is, had more passing yards than Jalen Hurts, 3775 compared to 2903, more touchdowns than Jalen Hurts. He had 29 touchdowns passing. Hurts had 18. This guy had 12 interceptions to 5. Okay, so a little more interceptions, but more touchdowns. Now, his attempts, he was 5th in rushing attempts, his quarterback I'm about to mention here. Jalen Hurts had more, of course. They had 150 attempts compared to 92 that this guy had. And 630 rushing yards for Hurts, 430 for this guy. But overall, these guys pretty much had identical stats, and this guy had more in certain categories. Where the difference was between these two is that Hurts had 14 touchdowns compared to this guy who had 4. The guy I'm talking about is Bo Nix. Bo Nix, I'm telling you, man, there's a ton of opportunity for growth. I'm not really crazy on his receivers. Sutton, Mims, Franklin, I think, takes a step up. There's a bonus breakout for you. Now, Nix finished 7th amongst quarterbacks last year. I definitely see that going up. I think he's going to be that special quarterback that you can get. Is going to anchor your team that you don't have to overpay for completely. And I just compared the stats with Jalen Hurts. He's putting up Jalen Hurts type stats. The only difference is Hurts had way more rushing touchdowns, partly due to the tush push that they're thinking of banning anyway. So you're getting a Jalen Hurts type player without paying a Jalen Hurts type price. So Bo Nix has a ton of breakout potential, opportunities there. I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with that offense. Are they going to draft a running back? What else are they going to do? It's going to be very, very interesting to see what the Broncos do. But Bo Nix looks like the future, and there's some upside there, okay? The last one here, this one's a little more obvious, but the opportunity is great for him. Last year, 100 receptions, 137 targets, over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. The guy I'm talking about is Jackson Smith, JSN. On Seattle, we got Metcalf shipped off to the Steelers. They brought in Kupp, washed up Kupp, is not going to steal the volume from him. And they've got Darnold there. Sam Darnold, who, again, I'm kind of on the fence with. I'm not sold that he's the real deal, but he was efficient enough to get the ball consistently to Jefferson last year. A part of that was the system that he was in. Maybe he busts and goes back to the Darnold of the old. If he does, that's really going to hurt JSN, but I got to see where JSN's fallen, because JSN could have a ton of upside this year. Another guy, high draft capital by the team, opening things up. No more Metcalf, and opportunity is now shining for Jackson Smith, okay? So those are 5 breakouts there for you. Let me know what you guys think. They're not the sexiest names. They're not the biggest names. They're not bright and flashy, but they could be ultra efficient. You might want to consider drafting them for the right ADP, all right? Everything's going to be laid out in 16 rounds. Make sure you guys grab it. Use code DRAFT to save. Subscribe, thumbs up, and I'll keep the content rolling here for you on the #1 fantasy football podcast. All right? We are ramping up here in the offseason. Subscribe, thumbs up, and we'll talk soon. I appreciate you guys. Lion mentality. Have a great day.